In a world that walks the line, there's a rare few who think outside the box together for the crew. To break the equations, not bound to any rule. Exposing to the world the universe's own view. It takes the talent of the craftsman, it takes the mind of the fool, to make the vision realize energy and matter in a duel. To a break, to a duel. The old man Bills was running through his head. Cheryl probably got it hiding under his bed. Penny up to Annie, making power for days. Don't listen to a word that the straight dope says. Mike building batteries that power a ship. Victor comes and talking math, that's the water spiral dip. Sean chucking plasma bolts a mile long. Sheila on the video making tones from the prongs. Bernie breaking matter, they said it couldn't be done. And to all the people in the chat, I know you're having fun. So it's time to spend your Saturday with the dope and old man Bills.
Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Bills. What's up, Joe?
It's time to spend your Friday with dope and old man Bills. Yeah.
Yeah, it still says Saturday. That's so great.
Well, you know, I mean, I know it's come a long way since then. I could easily just go in and get it to change the day, but I don't know. That's just the song, man.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. Talk about some aliens today, Joe. What do you think, man?
We're from the government and we're here to help.
Yeah. I love that movie, Paul. He goes, "It's probing time."
Yo, Mars attack.
They got these big death ray guns in behind him trying to shoot him in the head.
The woman with the dog head, the dude with the head in the jar rolling around.
That was a fun movie, man.
Holy shit. Yeah, what is the most star-studded B movie that's ever occurred? You know, it's the best. Love it.
Oh man. Have you seen the new footage they put out today?
Yeah, I mean I saw what they put up. Like Fox had it, and I mean, you know, all the usual suspects running with it. But I mean, realistically, I mean it's not all that dissimilar to the stuff we already saw with the, you know, the Tic Tac UFOs and I mean, honestly, I've seen weird stuff in the sky myself, like a handful of times. You know, when I was younger, I saw some really, really unexplainable stuff. No idea. And in fact, I was with a bunch of friends when we saw it, but like we were smoking weed and stuff. So like we were just like, yo, you know what I mean? And it was like,
can you really count those though? I mean,
it happened. So I mean, I you know, I wasn't hallucinating for Christ's sake. So it wasn't that good.
See, the last time I did that, I was driving in a car and it felt like Star Trek. I was going through warp zone, dude. It hit all at once. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there in the passenger seat and it was all, you know what I mean? Yeah.
You know, you've been wanting to see a UFO for a good long time.
Oh, well, yeah.
Man, I've been hoping for it. I'm praying for it. You know?
Are you kidding me? One of them shows up on my lawn, buddy. It's over, dude. We're riding the whole everything. Yeah, I'm waiting for the you know, people to come through the walls and everything else, dude.
Yo,
I mean,
that alien's gonna come out of that ship and he's gonna be like, Nathan, stop focusing on 100 projects at once. Do one thing, and your initial rapid fire configuration is probably the most ass backwards way to do it. And he'd be like, you know that guy that's straight dope? He told you this one time.
Oh my God. Oh, shout out Darren, brother. Thank you. 5 Old Men Build memberships, man. You're totally awesome. Oh man, you know, Joe, sometimes you got to do things backwards to go forward.
I love it. I think it's the best way for you.
For me, not for you, but for me.
Right. Oh. You know, I make fun of it. I know I'm exactly the same way. I mean, things like I'm like I come up with all these plans, I do and start, and blah blah blah, and I'm like, eh. On to the next. Whatever.
Oh man, well I get in trouble sometimes. I get knee deep in a project, you know what I mean?
And
I'm ordering a bunch of parts and doing this, and they're not coming in time, so I had to start another one at the same time. if I can just get them here a little faster, I guess maybe. But yeah, no
All right,
excuse,
so
man.
with aliens, hold on, let's talk about this for a
Oh
second.
yeah, let's go for it.
All right, isn't it kind of funny that the stuff that people are starting to talk about now, it directly coincides with all of the findings that we have in the experimentation that we do.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
either.
the, right? Like, I mean, I remember starting to talk about how I believe that, an actual geometric dimensionality exists, and that means phasing exists, and that means like things are very, very, very strange. It's not what it appears to be, and when we started talking about this stuff, like, and yeah, maybe we had a little bit of a different crew at the time and stuff, but like at the end of the day, people were like, extra spatial dimension. No, that's not how it goes. When you go up in dimension, you go down in scale. It's like, I don't know about that. You know, I don't know about that. But yeah,
What do they?
I think that this stuff directly is coinciding with it all, isn't it?
What do they say about that? It's just a coincidence that all of a sudden all this stuff starts coming out like this. I'll tell you what, those what's it called, people, the Greers of the world and everybody, man, they're all over this thing like flies on shit right now. They're just stinking it up. That one guy, man, he made a documentary about Bob Lazar, and now he's the most insufferable piece of shit I've ever seen. And he has that stupid look on his face.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it. I'm showing it. Yeah, you ain't doing shit. We ain't seen it yet. Last
Yeah.
time we turned around, we saw an egg. Remember the fucking egg? They
Yeah.
literally put a little wrapping around and picked it up. Fuck, it was a real egg.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't no UFO.
No. Yeah, and right, and when the egg thing came out, I was like, wait a second. It's straight up morph for morph, man. This is like straight out of like 72.
Yeah,
Like, what the fuck? Like, you gonna
back
have
in
the
Buck Rogers and
reincarnation of
shit.
Robin Williams pop out of the thing.
Oh
Absolutely
my
ridiculous.
god. They should have at least got the good looking lady with him. You know what I mean? Like Buck did. Oh, old school,
Yeah.
man. Oh, Nanu, yeah. Mork and
Nanu
Mindy.
Nanu. Yeah. I swear when I
Oh,
saw that thing, that was the first thing that came to mind was Nanu Nanu. How could it not? I mean, I'm not even that old, but I know about that shit. Come on.
dude, that was like the favorite thing to watch back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched a lot of old TV back in the day, man. It's bad. They used to syndicate that stuff and hit reruns all the time. But
Oh man, yeah. You know what? I think it's great that they're coming out with the footage and everything, but they're probably just capturing American crafts. To be very honest with you, that's what I think that they're doing because we had this since the '50s. You know what I mean? Back in the day, Germany in the '40s was coming up with this kind of technology, the Glock, the Bell. You know what I mean?
big lot.
So yeah, they were already all over this, dude. They realized something about the world. You know what I mean? So it's not surprising, but it's a progression of understanding the technology as well. So I don't know about aliens from another universe. You know what I mean? I'd like to think that they're from this solar system, and we haven't, done our due diligence and looking around. I mean, we haven't even. I don't even know if the footage from Mars is right or not, or if they're just driving around Arizona. You know what I mean?
It's impossible to tell. Isn't it ironic that all the footage you get, though, looks like it could easily have just been shot somewhere on Earth? I
Well,
mean, there's
yeah.
nothing really out of this world about any of it, is there? I mean, so does that go to show the similarity? Or does it go to show that, we're just kind of full of shit in the first place? Like,
Well, yeah. I mean, put a camera on Titan. Let's you know what I mean. Let's see the methane rivers and stuff. That'd be something to see. You brought us to a rocky planet that absolutely just looks like Arizona. That's what we got, and we're drilling into there, and you go, oh my God, there's water in there under the surface. Yeah. Hello, it's a planet. It should have it. I mean, the ignorance sometimes, man.
yeah, people don't get it. Everything breaks down into hydrogen and oxygen in the end.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's one of the easiest combined things.
and that's the irony of the whole the proposition that I proposed from the beginning, which is energy is trying to take matter back to a pure energy state, right? Is that as it breaks down the more complex materials, you end up with with water, which acts when you do it enough, okay, it actually enters into the most difficult phase of them all, which is entering into water lock, which is exactly what this planet is. We're waterlogged, so our high energy state is actually maintained by the vast amount of uh, water that we have. Because when you go to break the hydrogen and the oxygen apart, it's very, very, very difficult, to bring it into a high energy state without it reacting, right? Which again is another pat on the shoulder for Mr. Calderon and the Rad, because it exploits the only real way to be able to enter it into these high energy states from a native form, from a combined form.
Well, okay, let's make it even simpler. Okay. You still have an atmosphere on Mars. It's very small, right? But it means the engine's still cooking in the engine room. You know what I mean? It means that the process is still working, which means that all the things that go with the planet that we should have an atmosphere are still working on the planet. They don't have tidal force on that planet. They don't have a way to bring the water to the surface. You know what I mean? The moons aren't big enough to pull enough of the water to the surface in order to keep it there. But the engine's still running. It's still, you know what I mean, got atmosphere that's going on it. So under this surface layer, there should be every process that's going on Earth. I wouldn't be surprised if there's life on there, just because of that simple factor. If you understand that energy builds out from the core in layers, then the outside layer may be thin, but the inner layers are still thick. So just like we have a bunch of water trapped in rocks down to the center of our planet,
Yep.
that's exactly the way Mars works as well.
Right, and that's overlooked, man. That's the book that I always say, hey, if you haven't read it, you ought to read it. Edidorpa, right? In Edidorpa, there's this whole entire huge segment of the book that's dedicated toward water phenomena that is not as it's ever been explained to you. Now, the book was written in 1895, and it was before any of the modern geological, the frameworks had really been established, and they still haven't caught up to it. But
Well,
they gave an experiment that you could do where they spell out the exact experiment. It has to do with salt water and fresh water and mineralized water. Okay, and if you have the three, it creates pressure gradients based on the buoyancies. And depending on what the pressures all look like, you could have weird stuff end up happening with weird results. Like, for instance, if you salt water, okay, it should be more dense than fresh water. So fresh water could actually float above saturated salt water. That makes sense, right? But
mhm.
what happens when your saturated salt water is so deep and your fresh water beneath it is in a smaller volume? It doesn't mix and it doesn't go through. It goes into a non-diffuse state where it pressurizes the fresh water, and that pressure from the fresh water will find exit somewhere else, under a higher pressure based on the salt water. So it'll
Mhm.
actually, so when the water is auto leveling situation doesn't quite work that way because you have all this, the sub crust, water that exists.
So they have caves like that in South America that you can go into, and you go into the water, and it's fresh water on the top and it's salt water on the bottom. Where the two oceans meet, they actually will not combine right there. You can see the difference in the water
Yep.
where it's too much. And I tell people, this world's based on density on each layer, and water proves it perfectly to that point. You know what I mean? The density of the salt water versus the density of the fresh water. and then
Right.
you.
But at the same time, then once you add pressure into the equation, the pressure also has to do with the density. So we think of density as composition based, but it's not solely composition based because some of the density could be due to compression. So it becomes very interesting. And they say that you can't compress water, and that becomes somewhat inherently true, except for the fact that you can compress water. It just exerts that pressure elsewhere,
Mhm.
and sometimes it can't escape under that pressure. So, like I said, it's interesting stuff.
Well, it makes you wonder. Okay, if you had a wobble in the moon or something wrong with it, and for whatever reason that happened, it means that the amount of gravity on the Earth would change. It means that that water would come from below your feet and rise up, just like the Great Flood did, right? Out of nowhere came the water right under your feet. Well, that would coincide with a glitch in the moon or something that go on with your gravity field. Maybe you switch from, your north and south switched. Something like that that would cause a momentary pause would cause that event to happen. And the
Yep,
water would just rise because of the pressurization that's going on where it's at. Because even in rock, it's pressurized.
yep, certainly is. It's majorly pressurized in rock, because the rock is under pressure too of everything above it and
Hmm.
surrounding it. So even if it's not the strongest material, it just simply doesn't have where to be displaced to in order to fail. It's like being pressed against a solid surface. It could take so much more pressure under that circumstance. So yeah, it's all very interesting stuff, and it
Well,
becomes relevant.
well, that's why the pyramid gets interesting to me, Joe, because if they're bringing in the sky to the earth, right, by having it so high, they put an antenna on the top, they bring in the pressure from the sky and push it down to the ground. Were they removing water? Did they terraform this planet and remove the water level to a certain height? And was it the pyramid turning off that caused the water level to rise again? So it's just an interesting concept in what's going on because that would create a huge pressure gradient,
Yep.
pulling from the atmosphere and shoving it down on the earth. And it's interesting in how many pyramids there are. So that's where aliens come into me. So if we're talking about aliens today, the Great Pyramid would be the one of the things I would look at along with all the pyramids all around the world. Because if somebody did terraform this planet from a water planet, so say for instance we had one of Saturn's moons, right? And we terraformed it because it's all water, right? What would we do? Well, we'd have to create a pressure gradient from the sky in order to do it. So we'd build pyramids on the surface in order to use them as capacitance in water in order to hold them down and create a pressure gradient going into the earth, changing and terraforming it, right? Immediately. That makes all the sense in the world. You know what I mean? If you're talking about a civilization that can use all the energy on the planet.
So check this out. The same book, okay, discusses gravity ad nauseum, and honestly, I could probably point you to exactly the gravity parts, in audiobook form on YouTube or something like that. You could listen to it or something, and you should, because I'd love to actually have an episode on just that one day because it's so interesting how they say it. But one of the interesting things that's discussed, right, and we have no way of proving or disproving, is that the gravity um, actually increases, right, as you go beneath the surface of the earth till about 20% from the crust to the core. Okay. And then after that, it starts reversing, okay, to less gravitational effect. That's what the book says.
Hmm.
It goes on to basically say that, and at the center of the earth there can be no gravity because it's the central point to what everything is drawn to. It's just interesting because we know how diffusion works, and it works inverted like that. So it goes until it reaches that point of maximum saturation, then it starts to invert in inverted diffusion. And what do you know about the center of the earth? Well, there's nothing to fall toward for. So of course there's no gravity in the dead center where you would expect all the gravity to be, but you can't fall. If everything's falling toward the core and you're at the core, then you can't. There's no up.
Yeah, I would expect the center to, if anything, be opposite of gravity.
Hmm.
And at that first sheath layer is where the gravity would stop. Right there. You know what I mean? As you're going down. Because when you think about it, you have electricity in little balls pushing and forcing out this field from it. You know what I mean? While compressing it in. So that sheath layer is the dividing line between a gravitational on the outside and on the inside just having a pressure. So
Right.
I don't.
But I mean, if you think about it as actually like two sine waves, that represent the gravitational effect, right? And how much gravity influences the environment. And you think about where it comes to two nodal points, right? And mind you, you're dealing with a sphere. So if the sphere is cut in half, you have two nodal points, and then where they cross, right? Now, where they cross isn't at the high spot. See what I mean? Where they
Mm-hmm.
cross is actually in the central median of those two gradients coming in from both sides.
That'd be a
So
massive null zone.
right, so where they cross, as we know, right, is that's the interference point. That's the null zone, like you said, uh,
Yeah.
and it starts to make total sense. It becomes that exact spot when I showed you the sphere, okay, and how it inverts the image, right? But if you hold it close enough, you see it upright, and as you bring it away, it begins to invert. It inverts through this diffuse distortion that occurs when you hit that point that is neither looking at the right side up or the upside down image. What do you see is both images intertwined within each other in two holes that connect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's inside of that two double hole situation where the weirdness is. That's why it's veiled. You can't see. You could kind of try to peek into the hole and you could kind of start to see a little bit, but you can never actually see into the two holes. And they're connected. You could see that they're connected because that's where the strangeness is. That's when it all breaks down. That's the exact point where that image flips and it's neither right side up or upside down. And if it's neither right side up or upside down, then it is, it's lost its superposition, right? Like it's at that point, so there's a form of entanglement between this upside down, right side up. And then when they're neither, well, you've now crossed the plank.
Yeah. Well, I
You know,
agree with you that there
yeah,
would be a figure eight situation going on in there.
yeah, and
And
we've seen it. We showed it. It's very
yeah,
cool. Uh-huh.
I'll say this. John says it's a plasmoid in the center, okay, negative one. And he says plasmoid equals null zone. I would just say this. I think it's more than one ball of energy. I think it's multiple ones. And
No, yeah,
that's why
no,
it's working.
no, yeah. It's yeah. I mean, it's John's right and you're right. Like they're both correct. It just breaks down into like all these nodal points
Yeah.
because and how many? The answer is infinite because that's the total marginal cross point of all other points beyond it.
Yeah.
Right? That's so the closer you go to the center, the more points that of interaction that exist. It's just exactly like the clear sphere and that central point.
No, Sean showed it, man. He showed what's in the center of the RAV. There's no getting around it. We know what it is. There's these little spheres of energy that sit inside there, and then it builds out the zones from that. And I would expect to find the exact same thing at the center of the Earth. But like you said, I expect to see the energy exchange going on inside of it, just like we saw in the video Sean showed us. By the way, it was a cool thing I watched the other day, Joe, and it talked about the Anunnaki, and they talked about a second sun. So I'll describe it for you, and you tell me if it sounds familiar for the energy exchange. They described a second sun that looks just like the regular sun, and that sat directly behind it, and you're in the position on Earth. So you cannot ever see it. And then there's a spot that comes up for 3 weeks during the entire year or whatever it is that you can actually see the second sun. Now, What they do show on the picture is something sitting totally opposite of it on the other side. So it'd be behind us at that point, right? The only thing they've ever described out there is dark mass, that they can't find a planet whatsoever, right? But they know that there's gravity going on. I would suppose this, okay, is that one side is that plasmoid building out into a sun-like figure. You have a rab in the center, and on the backside, you have the black nodal point that we see in there, right? That is gravitational, but it doesn't have anything that looks, like a conventional planet. I think that's what's going on, you know what I mean? Because we use plasma in order to see our solar system. That's how they define things. And I think that was the perfect way to define it when I saw it. What do you think?
I mean, before you, and I understand what you're explaining, but I had never heard it before you just said it now. I mean, something similar to what you're describing, I actually personally kind of believe is sort of part of it, which has to do with the upper dimensional permeation, and just what that means overall. I think that a good analogy to kind of get your head around what I imagine, at least, is sort of like Stranger Things, right? They have the upside down, and what is the upside down? Well, it's basically the right side up, but it's upside down. And where it is light, it is dark, and and it's sort of an inverted version of reality, so to speak. And I think that something like that is probably not in the way that they show it exactly, but I think that something like that is sort of exactly what exists, for the simple reason of there is no present, right? We experience the world through our senses. Our senses are delayed, and by the time we observe anything, it's already occurred, which means that we're experiencing the past and then reflecting on it all the time. That's all that we're doing. We're like getting hit in the face by the present constantly and never actually existing in it. It's quite fascinating when you think of it that way, right? So what the point of it is that if there's a dimension that permeates us, it actually is exactly like us, but expanded in a way and inverted. Just the same as the optical phenomena invert at focal points. No different.
Hmm. You ever
Because we are the
hear?
focal point of that dimension is the point. You see?
No, I get it.
Yeah.
You ever hear of the pianist that he basically wrote, I don't know what they call it, a song or whatever, and it goes back on itself, right? And then they talk about how you could take a piece of paper, right, and get it to always be on the same side while you turn it and flip it back to each other and go back, right?
A Mobius strip, you mean?
There you go. That's
Okay.
that's how I think the energy exchange is working.
I agree.
On one side you're getting one thing, and on the other side you're getting the other. And I say that because when Sean was doing his experiment, he got that black in there. And every time I see that black show up, it has perfect structure, just like you know what I mean, the color of any of the other ones he puts in there. So it was in a form like this, though, Joe. It was crazy because it was going down like this and making a precise pattern, right? It was almost like he's braiding it. You know what I mean? Without the tie of the braid, but just like a swirl all the way down is what it was doing. And you saw the black in there perfectly structured in the same width as the electricity on the other side. One had a color, one was black, right?
Yep.
But we knew the black had structure. Then he turns off and gets green out of it. Now, let me just say this about the electricity. So it's kind of weird. If you're out in the cold and you're dealing with a Tesla coil and you put your hand on it, you get blue. Okay, if you get to the cold enough side, then you can get green out of it. Okay, but on the other side of that, you use the wire of the secondary of the Tesla coil, you get a purple, you get a yellow. You know what I mean? You get these other colors that go on in there. You get a white, you get a pink. So on one side of the spectrum, it's like a hot plasma. On the other side of the spectrum, you get a cold plasma. And I say that because you could see clearly the blue in the sky. It's a
Now,
cold plasma.
now here's the thing about green that's special, but and I'm sure we're going to show it, but more particularly the green that Sean got. Okay, and that is very important when we show the green that Sean got. Is that it is exactly in the middle of the light spectrum, not the visible light spectrum. It's in the middle of that, but it's just in the middle of the entire light spectrum that falls within the Planck scale. Okay, and well, why is that? Why is that important? Well, because that represents the present. Okay, that represents the balance between the past and the future. Okay, and it's a very, very difficult wavelength to achieve because this isn't standard green rarefication that we're seeing. When and everyone's about to see it now for those who haven't. Although we have so many members now, I'm sure these guys have already probably saw it, but it
Well, this
really is
one's
something to behold.
yeah, this one's not on there. You can kind of see the green coming into it right now on the top and towards
Yeah,
the
but that's
middle.
not it though.
I think I should pull Sean's picture. There's the green. There it's starting to show up.
Yeah, it's going and it's coming from the red spectrum in that side because it's in yellow.
Let's see. We'll just play it, and then I'll see if I can't pull the pictures from Sean because he caught it perfectly. I don't know
He
that I
caught it
can.
perfect. Yeah.
I can see the green in it now.
Yeah. Oh, I saw a flash of it going.
I see it at the top.
Uh-huh. But like I said, it's not your standard laser pointer green. And it's not like that yellowish green or, bluish green that we've seen in the past. This is it's that pure dead center balance of hot and cold. It's really, really incredible. Yeah, pull the picture, man. Like the suspense is insane.
No, it's fine. I'm grabbing it right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's really cool in itself what we're looking at, but yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Yep. That's the one.
That's
And
incredible.
and here, this is what I was saying. You see the blue shift on the top, see the red shift on the bottom, and then you have your equilibrium zone, the combination of the two. That's a forced neutral state is what it is. It's absolutely astoundingly incredible.
He's getting pink in there too. You notice that towards the bottom?
Well, the pink is in the red spectrum, and that's your red shifting on one side. And if you look at the top, it's that white, purple, blue color.
Mhm.
So, it's where it meets in the middle that it's getting this green mostly. Once it balances out.
Yeah, look
He
at
did
that.
get almost the whole tube green, which was crazy.
Yeah. Kind of tells you about something about the energy and gas, doesn't it? I mean, we really don't think about it that way, but he's got to be pulling a gas in there in order to get that color. Because we know O3 comes out and it's usually purple. You know what I mean? And then now he's shifting it. So I don't know that he's getting more than O3, but he's definitely changing the color.
Yeah, these are, and obviously the element, of the gas matters as far as the coloration. No dispute there. But this also has to do with frequency banding of beat frequencies. So, that's just as much of a deciding factor in the color in these circumstances as the standard, this gas tube lights up this color, that gas tube lights up that color, It's and you don't need to mix and match the gases to get the variation. You just need to have the frequencies interact in a certain way that throws other zones into beat frequency.
Here you go. John says, okay, oxygen glows green when ionized, and hydrogen glows blue and purple.
Mm-hmm. That is
Interesting.
true.
So it's telling you that electricity when confined in an area, because he's confining it with the glass and creating some kind of pressure gradient there, that you're getting gases out of electricity, which we already knew from the O3, but it's more interesting when you get other gases out of it, because now it goes from, we can go from a light state to an energy state to a gas state, you know what I mean, to a plasma state. Things like that, that make a big difference when you're doing conversions is very important, man.
Well,
It defines that we are children of light. You know what I mean? That whole saying of that's what we are. Well, yeah, that's what we start out and build out to be. You know what I mean? From that
oh,
very state.
I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, Aaron did say something good though. He said, doesn't nickel off gassing make a green plasma? I mean, the truth is, I don't know definitely, but I know that nickel does run in that green band. That's why when you see oxidation in nickel, which is not that easy to do just generally, but through electrolysis, it's not that hard, which is happening, and it's green. So that does make sense. That it does naturally fall into that band. So that could be, and I know Sean is using a nickel stainless for the anode generally. I can't say specifically here, but that's usually what he's using.
Gotcha, because he has like the chrome look on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like nickel plated steel. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm right there with you.
Right on 84.
Yeah, we always are in that position right now, but we're working today. Oh man, so interesting what Sean comes up with, man. It's so beautiful. That green's something else. He wasn't expecting that one to show up.
No, not at all. And like I said, that's a hyper specific green. That's not something we've really seen too much before. Even when it was banding through all the colors, it's just such a specific color.
My favorite thing still about it is the structured black. And you can see it right in there when you watch these things.
Oh yeah.
There's a video on this one. Maybe I pulled the wrong one. Oh, hold on. I have to point this out. Okay. He's got bismuth at the bottom. I want you to watch the initial reaction of the energy going down to the bismuth. So he's got water in there. Right there. See how far the electricity was off? That reaction right there, it immediately pulled a field on it. It responded right away when the water was there, when a liquid form of energy was there with it. It immediately responded with a repellent field to the energy. That's interesting. That's something to dive into and look for in every one of his bismuth experiments that he does. Because that's not a normal field. And if you think about why would you use bismuth in a UFO, that is the particular reason right there. You want the field bubble. You want that interaction point. You want that field to build out and hold things back. And that's exactly what we just saw.
All right, Nathan, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
All right. I think that we could both agree that aliens are interdimensional because if they have a UFO, that is an interdimensional attribute in itself. Okay. That's my opinion. I think that we could agree on that. So my question is, when they say that they're interdimensional beings, okay, do you think that that means that they are natively interdimensional, meaning that they natively do not have a physical body? Okay, or that they are capable of interdimensional travel?
I think they have a body. I don't. I think they're capable of interdimensional travel.
Okay, because it seems like a lot of people are seeming to think that they're purely etheric.
Just pure energy. Is that?
Natively pure energy, and I guess they have some kind of physical manifestation. That is able to occur.
Well,
This is
if
why
you
I'm
live in
asking you. I
the
don't know.
if you live in the fourth dimension, then yeah. I mean, if you live outside of everything that we're in, that's 100% possible. Like ghost, pure energy form. Then I could
Yeah.
see it in that way. Yeah.
Now, I tend to agree with what John said, which we are both plasma beings. You know, we're plasma beings too. And I 100% agree with that. The thing that I find unusual, okay, and this is something I heard way before, um, they ever started talking about any of this stuff being real, okay. But I always heard that there was some type of interest in human beings or envy of human beings, something like that, with aliens because we have abilities that actually like natively are far beyond the uh, abilities of any other known species, and it's the thing about it being that we let it go to squander. We're totally unaware of it, you know but they're aware of it, and I think it comes from like this, this somewhat like John saying, like there's a physicality to us. We have like a physical reality, that our spirit is bound to, so to speak.
So are you saying that they're in a different dimension and that they envy the dimension we're in?
No, they envy us as entities. That's what I've heard. That we whether it's we truly are the children of the creator, so to speak, or we have some kind of innate ability that nothing else has, nothing else is capable of, and including ourselves, like we're not even aware of our own abilities.
Hmm.
That's what I've heard before, but I don't know.
Well, that's interesting, Joe.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think they envy us if they live longer, can go around, space everywhere and do everything. But I mean, there must
Well,
be a higher
well,
quality to our body than we know.
and that's the point. There's some kind of higher quality to our being, whether it might not be our physicality, it may very well be our energetic self, right? So we might be very, very high level energetic beings, like the likes of which are just uncontested and, unseen anywhere else. But, we have this, you know, body connection situation that goes on, like that maybe hinders us from realizing the full potential. I don't know. Again, I mean, this has been decades since I've heard this, but it's something that I had actually heard a long, long time ago, and it just stuck with me.
Well, I can tell you this, Joe, based on what people are eating and how it's actually made, they're suppressing quite a bit of our body's ability to gain, the energy needed. For instance, I took your advice the other week, and I've been drinking celery juice.
Hmm.
So let me just tell you, it's a different experience altogether in how it reacts in your body and what it does. So I'll tell you a couple of quick notes that it did. I always have dry skin on my head, legs, stuff like that. I don't have dry skin anymore. The ability for the water to get into the cell now is happening, and now it's giving me potassium. So just as a odd thing, you know what I mean? But then that means that every food that I was getting was blocking that effect from going on. And then when you see the sludge and the garbage they use to make some of this stuff that they do, and all the high fructose corn syrup and all the stuff that they use, then you get to a very clear point. We're being held back by the foods that we eat right now, and we don't even know it. Even some of the ones you think would be healthy, like the vegetables, are still sprayed with a bunch of garbage that undermines every nutrition part of it, about it.
Yeah, they make it very, very, very difficult to eat right, even if you think you're trying to eat right, unfortunately. And it's even like naturally healthy things like cheese, for instance, or something like that. You know, um, they've added so much crap and preservatives and salt the all this other shit to it that like just simply doesn't be in there, just so it stays on the shelf a little longer, you
Yeah.
know. And they sell you the kind of cheese that's not even good for you, so to speak. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's a processed food. But
Well,
even when
that's
you go
it.
to vegetables, it's all GMO, it's all pesticides, and unless you're doing your own thing, you really don't know what you're getting.
Yeah. I found one thing. We got rolls from the local bakery, right? And every 3 days to 4 days, they would go out. So if you didn't use them in that time, they'd be moldy. I have hot dog buns that have been in there for 4 months and they still haven't gotten moldy.
Yep, I know. Yeah, they put mold inhibitors in it, and every kind of inhibitor that you know of, and they put a lot of oil instead of water, right?
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because, well, the oil doesn't evaporate out and get dry and stale and crusty, so it stays squishy for longer. It's
Yeah.
like, but it's funny because that's the bread that we become accustomed to, right? So if it's not that springy, squishy bread 3 days later, you kind of sit there and say to yourself, like, man, this is kind of garbage. But
No, I'm there with you. I get it.
right, you get into the with good bread, and it's like, man, I need a glass of water, like right
Yeah.
now, put some more butter on this.
Oh my God, dude. I'm not allowed to have margarine anymore, Joe. So my
No,
wife has this
that's
butter.
real bad for you, David. Jesus.
Okay. Just just so you know, so I put this butter on there and it doesn't melt. It literally, you have to microwave it to melt it onto the toast that you just made.
Oh yeah.
And she goes, "No, it's better for you. It's better for you." I go, "I don't feel that it's better for you." You know what I
There's
mean?
nothing better for you than butter. Like butter is what you're supposed to have.
No, I understand. I'm just saying it doesn't act like butter used to, or I guess
No.
margarine would.
Oh man, margarine. I mean, for the longest time, and I don't know if they even do this anymore, but they made it out of hydrogenated oil, and like hydrogenated oil is so bad for you. So, like the fact that we did that for so long and just like thought nothing of it is, out of control. But they did it all for efficiency, just so they could get as much oil out of the given. Yeah, I mean, how much canola seed do you think you need to be able to buy an entire jug of friggin' canola oil to enough to fry a fucking turkey in? Like seriously, you know what I
Well,
mean? Like, how many seeds is that? There's a lot of seeds, man.
well, see, that's the thing. They tell you about all these oils. You're not supposed to have them, and you're thinking, "Oh man, I can't have fried chicken. I can't, you know what I mean? Fry my stuff." And here it is in your bread and in your butter, and you're just going. It's like pointless after a while when you start looking around. And then they tell you they gas all your grapes, they gas all your bananas. You know what I mean? In order to give them a different color, they take baby carrots and they bleach them. And you know what I mean? It's like, man, what is good anymore? Like, I just need to build a garden and eat out of that, and then I probably won't have any problems.
Yeah, I mean that's honestly what I'm trying to do at this point. We got the beginnings of it. Although where I live now, like the planting seasons are way different than they even used to be where I used to live, even though I'm in the same
Mm.
thing. It is so cold here that like I mean the planting season hasn't even like yeah, if I put something in the ground, like it's not gonna be doing too good right now. So like we got them all sprouted and ready to go in the ground, and I'm just waiting for like the day when maybe frost stops happening. But
You need to create a geothermal effect, so you need to get down into the ground. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like several
creating
feet
that
under
time.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Run a
But
backhoe for the day.
we started doing the chicken thing, and I like chickens. Chickens are cool.
I used to have a chicken coop when I was a kid.
Yeah, chickens are cool. And then I've grown a liking for them. It's
One
like,
rooster.
so far it's because there's still chicks growing, so it looks like one rooster. You know, nice, nice big cock.
Oh, Joe's getting a black one. We know.
Oh, it was a black and white, a Milan.
Oh, it's so great. Oh, I remember that dude as a kid go out there picking up all the eggs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Before it got too far. Eggs taste different there than they did in the store
Oh
all
yeah,
the time.
Yep, yep. We got it. We got a nice little thing with them, and that'll be cool. And if it goes good and see what it does, then I'll just buy some plain ones that I don't care about, and then they'll become like chicken nuggets and such. So I don't really want to lob these ones because
Like,
I kind of
dude,
like them.
chicken nuggets have like 2% chicken in them, bro. They're not
Uh,
chicken nuggets.
no, it's
They're,
like they're
they're
corn nuggets.
anything but chicken in the
Yeah,
nugget.
yeah, right. They're like right instead of it being like breaded chicken, it's like chicken bread. I don't know, like the other way. Like if you put like a little bit of chicken on the outside of it's like cornstarch chicken nugget.
There's not even chocolate in the candy bars we eat anymore. It's
Yeah,
it's it's ridiculous.
that's out of hand. No wonder the aliens are like, listen, guys, you guys are a little out of control. Okay,
Yeah,
just hurry up. Tell them that 3/4 of the population got to die, and we're gonna fix your society, or whatever they're gonna say, because something's coming, man. Like, sorry, I hate to say it. I've smelled this line of bullshit before. Like last time I smelled this line of bullshit, we were all locked in our houses for fucking 2 years.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, man, I don't think they're ever going to show us aliens, even if we have them, because too many people will freak out. The non-player persons, those people will start freaking out, or the blue-haired people, they just lose their minds. And you think they'd be the ones, playing the
Right,
video games at
right.
homes
Aren't
and
these
be
the
all
ones
into
that's
it.
like, oh, accept everything. Everything is,
Yeah,
like protect this, protect that. Right. Those are the people that would lose their minds, wouldn't it?
yeah, they would.
Yeah.
They'd be protesting the Area 51 again. I mean,
Yeah. Wait until they find out that by consent they meant like, oh no, their world permeates ours, and they're totally aware of all of us and our beings at all times. It's like, oh, even when even when you.
so
In
funny.
fact, especially when you.
Well, if they're in a light and they're interdimensional, think about it this way: Bigfoot, when he disappears, what does he do? He goes to an interdimension, right? So he changes the light and how it absorbs to him, and then he can interact with the same planet, different world. You know what I mean? By saying that, I don't mean it's a total different.
Right.
I mean it's the
Just
same world, but
slightly out of phase. Just slightly out
yeah,
of phase with its here, and it's pretty much now. It's just slightly out of phase with
yeah.
our vibrational state of sensory perception.
Which
Because
would
you got
make
to remember, this is where science fucks up the biggest, and is they're so caught up in our sensory perception and what are and the measurements within our dimensional limitations that by not exploring outside of that box, they will never find what they're looking for. And that's been the problem all along. And it's
yeah.
something I say all the time, but maybe not in those exact words. But that's the
Mhm.
point. They're just looking within our sensory threshold of human beings and then the sensory threshold of our instrumentation, all of which is confined dimensionally to the planck scale.
Well, I want to say this. Why would they like to know when nuclear weapons are going off on our planet? If they were simply in a different dimension on our planet, then every nuclear weapon affects them the same as it affects us. So when you're blowing up cities here, you're taking care of stuff over there too. So
Right, right, right. If it has that time dilation effect and it goes into the highest of frequency bands, they're like, oh, what did they do? What did they do? Right. We blew up Hiroshima, but we also blew up alien Hiroshima too.
yeah, little green men were pissed.
Be like, right, right. These dickheads, they nuked our city. Right? The pissed. Exactly. It's like nobody ever thinks about stuff like this.
Oh,
Ridiculous.
oh man. Well, that would be like the perfect cover right there, which would make complete sense if you think that as human beings we have a choice to either ascend or we go to the other side, which means we change in the dimension that they're in.
Pretty
That
much.
would be
Or another frequency band altogether. Which
yeah, it could be.
And that could be the state of envy. They could be stuck. And like I've said before, I think that the fourth dimension is really just it's actually a lot simpler than the upper dimensions, because the way that dimensionality works, like you think about it, is like it's easy to picture this, right? If you start from lower dimensions, right? So you have a point, which is just a piece of something, and then 2 points, right? And then all of a sudden you can connect the line. Okay. The idea here being that the points are very important, right? Without the multiplication of the points, there's nothing. But the line really isn't that important. The line is just the connecting thing. So it's like a phase transition, right? And I think that the fourth dimension is really just the phase transition. So we talk about torsion, right? And I think 4D itself is actually just like the pressure that is exerted upon us. Like it permeates us and exerted upon us. We're the pressure on it, right? But then beyond that is the higher dimensionality of it, right? And it makes sense if you think about this, because if you know anything about what a 4D object would be, right? It's a 3D object, that is both, right side out and inside out simultaneously, which is that is the motion, okay, that creates the passage of time, okay. And if you have all these 3D objects that are in phase, right, connected by this tension, then you have an interactive playground of three-dimensional objects in experiencing time and motion and space. So it's only this pressure gradient, but what's actually beyond that is the next dimension, which is the next structural dimension. Okay. See, where 3D is a structural dimension, 2D is a semi-structural, dimension, and 1D is not really a structural dimension. Nor is, one and 2D, I'm sorry, are really not structural dimensions. 3D is. 4D is not. So every handful of dimensions, you have structural dimensions, where like new geometries actually emerge entirely. Whereas the fourth dimension is really just a derivative of the third dimension.
Well,
I don't know if that makes total sense to you, but
well, it does, but it goes back to how light becomes matter, right? If you think that we're the matter in the situation, right? But before that, we were the light in the situation. It makes sense that there's a dimension where the light's dominant versus the matter's dominant. Just like we find that the water's dominant versus the gas atmosphere that's dominant. Then you get to the space, atmosphere, which is dominant. Well, it makes perfect sense that you would have a whole nother situation going on with the light and our beings being in the light, giving off that we have all kinds of fields coming off of us right now. Like, one of the greatest things about a Tesla coil is it makes you very aware that you have a field coming off of you and that you need to start paying attention.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. Now, hold on. So John said something interesting. He says that after 4D, the dimensions don't really matter. Now, I disagree. Okay, and here's why.
Okay.
It's because all higher dimensions have dominion over lower dimensions. Okay, so there's greater control and insight of totality at higher dimensional levels, meaning that physics expands as you go upper into more geometric dimensions. Okay, and the way that you can easily prove this out and show it is that obviously if you look at 3D and then you look at a 2D object, we could create 2D objects in 3D at will. We could create points at will. We could create lines at will. We could create planes at will. You see, it's just because, we're inherently in, total dominion of those lower dimensions. And that's important because, that means that technically as, 5D playing the role, because realistically, we're not in, we're 3D objects with experiencing, this, through for like a 4D. We're in 4D experiencing it three-dimensionally. Okay.
Hmm.
Because that's where the time kicks in. So we're realistically permeated by the fourth dimension. We're in fourth dimension. So stuff above us has dominion over us. So once you exit beyond, you pierce the fourth dimension, you cross over the fourth dimension to the fifth. Okay. From our perspective. And then next thing you know, you have a situation where you could actually create 3D because you have full dominion over that um, that dimensional reality. So, I mean, I don't see the ability of creating at will 3D, objects like situations, scenarios, events, and have actual real influence of three dimensions. I don't see that as being useless.
You know, sorry, Joe, I got something freaking me out in my head right now. Okay. If you were energy, right, then there would be no stopping your thoughts from going to everyone else. It would be one shared thought.
Mhm.
So we have individual thought. They wouldn't have individual thought because energy mixes everywhere. It's why
Well,
resonance. Okay, hold on. Just think about this. It's why resonance works in our atmosphere because we're pulling on the energy in between the gas, right? And we get that thread of energy and it resonates and it moves the gas around, but then it goes to a different area and resonates and moves the gas around. It's interconnected why we don't see a connection because of the energy. But that means that communication between you and I, if we're in the same room, if we set our bodies to the same frequency, we'd be able to communicate without any voices whatsoever. You know what I mean? The emotion, you know what I mean? How you think about things. Maybe not the exact words, but we'd be able to understand each other perfectly fine.
I agree with that. And, I mean, I think that maybe this is where a little disagreement possibly with the chat's going to go on, and that's okay. Disagreement is sort of like I'm willing to listen to that too and just consider that against what I think. But, I think what you said is absolutely correct. Where there's this still state of like at like fifth dimensional level, there's still a state of individuality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, there's also uh definitely the ability of like telepathy, you know, absolutely with lower dimensional, okay, but also probably intra dimensional as well, amongst others. Like, there would probably just be uh thought pattern gesture that would automatically be fully understood. There would be no misunderstanding. It would
Mm-hmm.
be full immersion of that like empathetic emotional empathetic uh, experience of other people's thoughts, and it would be far reaching as like far as like any. So it's not. So the minds are still separate at that point, I think. But there is exactly that interconnectedness where that communication is at at will and effortless and without any physical action, any real action. Um, and then as you go further and further, I think that consciousness starts to break up and accumulate, you
Mm-hmm.
know, into a more whole. So when you start to get to the top levels, you kind of end up going through archetype type levels where it's like more angels or entities that have certain specific characteristics, all of which were probably made of certain portions of. So as you kind of push up, it consolidates to less and less um, individuality of the minds, until you end up in the all of it, being kind of like the God mind, you know.
Well, okay, so when we talk about Akashic records and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
And you want to get in there and learn something from the Akashic records. What do they tell you? They tell you to relax, to meditate, right? Turn off a lot of your senses. The sense that comes back to you is if things are right and if you're in the right flow. as you're thinking about these things, are they right? Are they not? Are they flowing together? You know what I mean? You don't get a lot of controversy in your head when it comes up and you start doing this, right? You get into a state where you can understand the process. It's not harsh. It's not a hard learning thing. It's easy flow. You know what I mean? And that's what I think the key is here. We're entering into the state of the hive mind that is the energy state, right? So we're now communicating with it and we're flowing with it. And you can't do it if you're going against it. If your mind's not in sync with it, if you're having too much trouble emotionally to get into it, you'll never be there, right? But when you are, it's like floating. You're just in there and at peace. And then you can pull all the information instantly.
I agree, and that's it's one of these gnosis type things too. Like if you are unaware of its existence, you will not be able to have access to it. It's something that like you need to have understood existed and then have accepted as the reality in order to experience to then know. And then once you have that experience of knowing, then at that point the neural pathway connections are kind of conditioned and set to be able to allow for that access point to occur. That's my personal belief on the subject. Again, all this stuff highly, highly speculative. And but how does this ties into the alien stuff that we're discussing
Oh,
100%.
yeah.
100%, because this is exactly what the interdimensional being situation is. They're just maybe if that's what they're proposing is going on and that's the case, you want to buy that bill of goods or whatever, you know uh, that all that really means is that they have a native sensory set that's tuned to that higher dimensional space. Okay, so their senses are able to natively be able to fully immerse and experience that the same as we are here. Okay, the human beings are realistically even the most skilled human beings and being able to reach those high states of consciousness and so on that may have access to those similar realms or same realms, right? That's not our native sense, right? We need to be able to channel our higher self and literally remove ourselves from here and then depend on, that to be able to report something to us, that is tangible in this reality, which tends to be hard. And that's why actually a lot of times I have a hard time and I struggle and I use word salads and stuff is because it's not that I don't know the words, it's that I have this understanding of something that like I've never expressed before, and it's not something so common that you could just
Hmm.
pull the words out of thin air about, like when you're trying to talk about it. Yeah, and that's why I end up stumbling around so much sometimes when I talk about these things. It's
Yeah,
just simply not easy,
I get it.
but even though you fully like in myself, like I can fully uh, understand it. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Well, let me just say this, okay? Because this is kind of the way frequency works. We have 50 hertz and we don't think much about it, right? You go, okay, we run everything on our house on it, we run the power lines on it. But what is it doing to the environment? Well, it's dulling any other frequency from coming through. And I don't mean that in radio and stuff like that. I mean that it's a consistent suppressing energy field that's going on. So when you want to resonate your body, think about it this way. If you go out into the middle of the forest, it's easier. If you're out by a spring, it's easier. Sit in the city, it's almost impossible. So it's happening all around you and you don't really notice it. But that's the way energy works because they're trying to resonate that energy in high voltage to your body, just like a Slayer exciter circuit would, right? What does it mean? It pulls you out of the ability to get to that conscious level. So by putting your primal mind and your regular mind together, that's how you achieve getting to the chakra, right? You have to control that primal part, that bottom part of your brain that controls all the functions naturally that you normally don't mess yourself with, right? You don't think about breathing. You don't think about your heart rate. All those things are all controlled through that one function. But you have to access that in order to put your chakras in line, in order to get each beat in line, right? But how it's so much easier if you're sitting next to a waterfall, you know what I mean? Sit, Indian style with your hands up. That's going to be so much easier to get there than it is sitting in the middle of the city.
Yeah, I mean everything you just said is dead on, man. That's just the way it goes. It's really a remarkable thing. It really is. And I think that the best thing you said was, it's the virtue of everything that we discuss, the energy exchange and the resistance that is part of that exchange equation. It's that very resistance that acts as a prison for the deep connection. And in order to, be able to um, have a more pure exchange, to be able to cross over that, to be able to ex- somewhat experience what's behind the veil, so to speak. You need to lower your own resistance to in that same exact point that we talk about all the time. You need to be able to reduce it to that ambient level, to where the world like the world's kind of collapsed internally, and to think that your brain is a receiver for and your and your the nervous system being the holder of this plasmatic force, that it probably is the connection between point A and point B, right? Like, on the large scale, these things would be extremely hard to do, right? But what do we know? Well, if there's entanglement and there's this plasmatic force that's existing, if you're able to reduce it in a small area, you know, it's all in resonance. And, the native resonance is going to be closer to that lower resistance point. So if you could bring it into that lower resistance point, a lot of times the whole entire body starts to fall in. And we've all kind of experienced that at some point in time, especially the harmonics and things like that will often do it, right? If you are listening to music and it hits that sweet harmonic note, right? And a lot of times, it's when two things are in that harmony together, where there's a vibrato, that sort of exists. It will stand every single hair up on your entire body, turn you warm and cold simultaneously, and you'll feel it shoot right down your spine. That's
Mhm.
just that's just the way, that is exactly the entire point. And it's just goes to show how the energies, with sound being probably the most fundamental of them all, because you have to remember the word was first, you know.
Mhm.
Um, that's sort of it.
Well, let me give you a little bit of a unique perspective on it, Joe, versus what you may feel in nature. I'm tone deaf. So there's a lot of things that I wouldn't pick up on sitting in nature, right? But that means that I'm not in a harmonic way with it. I'm not harmonious with nature, right? In certain ways, where you would be. So a lot of distraction and noise and energies like that may give you headaches. You know what I mean? Where you got to go out and walk barefoot. I absolutely don't hear any of them. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
kind of a unique perspective in when you do stuff like this because there's sounds that are going on in my garage, and you guys point them out when I do experiments. I can't hear any of them. You know what I mean? But then again, I'm not affected by that frequency of it. So I'm not pulled away from my original thought on what I was doing based on that. You know what I mean? My body's not trying to resonate with it because the apparatus for it to get in, it won't allow it.
Yeah, I mean the way that I would assume, right? Now, I mean you're saying you're tone deaf. I know that you also have a hard time hearing,
Oh
just
yeah.
generally, right? So there's that. But then you look at somebody like, you were talking about classical music and the Mobius strip and stuff before, and I know somebody put up in the chat that it was Beethoven number four, I think. Well, nonetheless,
Okay.
I know it was Beethoven, but Beethoven was deaf, and the greatest, probably one of the amongst the greatest classical, musicians of all time, played the piano. and write all of these songs, without ever having heard a note of it, because you can feel the vibration of the string, and that's enough to be
Mm,
able to. That's the same exact thing as hearing. It's the other part of it feel that feel and hearing is a very, very similar and related sense. In fact, like if you were to hear certain notes and not feel anything, it would become disorienting. You know, if
I
you
have to
heard a
try that.
loud bass tone and you didn't feel any vibration from it whatsoever, you'd be disoriented as all hell. You know, if you didn't hear the bass tone but you felt the bass tone, it's still something you could be familiar with. And
Really?
yeah, absolutely.
I,
Yeah, when you
I didn't
listen to
know that.
music,
I
if
just
you
thought I
want
would
to
feel in the
feel it,
speaker.
yeah, you need to play shit loud, man. Play it loud, or like Beethoven, right? He's striking a key that's that's pushing a hammer that's striking a chord, that's tuned, and all that feedback, all the dampening of it goes right back to the finger,
Hmm.
and it goes right back to the hand, right back to the chair you're sitting on, or it goes right back to the foot pedal that your foot's sitting on. So you have multiple points of um, vibrational contact.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
that's what do you think? He just like figured, he's like, well, I can't hear, but like, well, I'm just gonna play. Like, there has to be some sensory mechanism there for him to have the understanding that he has. It just wasn't simple mathematics.
Gotcha. Sorry, I'm reading something in the chat. It says
Yeah,
sound is bad. Is my hearing aids like sounding? Can you hear them?
no, I could hear, I could hear you.
Can you hear my hearing aids?
No,
Okay. I don't know what he was talking about then. Okay. Yeah. Because sometimes you have feedback and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I'd love to go without them. Honestly, I was looking at changing my headset, Joe, but they don't. I haven't found a good pair that stick in my ears. You know what I mean? Like the ones I use when I walk with a connection cord. It's all Bluetooth, and I don't like Bluetooth when I do this kind of stuff. So
yeah. I
interesting.
mean, so go get an old analog set. Go look for that old JVC from the
Well,
thrift store, from the church thrift store. Like
well,
that's where
they
you find
gotta
good stuff there.
sit in there because I have a collapsed ear canal. You know what I mean? So it's got to sit in
Mhm.
there tight in order to get anything in there.
Yeah.
So okay, all right. Well, you said sounds good. All right. Maybe we're just talking something that they didn't like. I don't know. I'll tell you what, this alien thing is interesting, though, Joe. When you come back to it, if they are here, you know what I mean. I, I don't understand why they would be here. I mean, I understand the envy thing, something like that, or if they want to use this as lab rats. But here's the thing, man. You can't take a creature that's constantly evolving, that's as smart as us, and use this as a lab rat because it's going to mean your extermination in the end. You know what I mean? Because people don't take too kindly to that. And they've proven over and over again they keep making bigger, better weapons. And when you piss them off, they use them on you. You know what I mean? That's humanity. That's the way we do things. So if you're an alien, you think you could poke and prod for a million years, you got a big explosion coming in your future. You know what I mean? You have to know that. You know what I mean? It's like playing with a caged lion. Yeah, it's fun to go out there and poke and laugh and everything, but that lion's going to eat you one day. Just understand that.
I mean, I had heard reports and stuff that like some of the aliens that they have in these reports, they're basically drones, more or less. Like they're living entities or whatever, so to speak, but there's some kind of interconnection with that physicality and the actual thing controlling it. If that, like, same as we're being controlled by some kind of higher self, they're actually being remote controlled more or less by some kind of higher entity. So like the physicality of that is being is actually disposable, I guess. Like to a certain point, and it makes you wonder. Like, so do they send these physical bodies as drones? Do they do that so they can experience 3 dimensions and exist in 3 dimensions? Or do they do that because we're just so fucking dangerous? Like you just said, that like there's like oh yeah, mission to Earth, yeah. All right, so we're writing off the spacecraft and the drone entities, as a wash, because chances are they're gonna hit us with an EMP. We're gonna end up on the ground. They're gonna get the drone people. They're gonna study it and be like, look at all this. We have all the answers, and we're going to be sitting there controlling these things from another dimension and be like, they think they have all the answers. They just got the physical thing that we're controlling so we can actually interact. Like, you know what I mean? Like the joke's so on us at the end of the day, and it's probably something like that. Yeah, like Aaron's saying, avatars. That's sort of what they're saying about some of the aliens that are in these reports, is that they're basically just avatars for upper dimensional, higher dimensional entity.
So you mean like
So,
a soul visits and stays in for a while and then leaves?
well, right. I guess they have the ability to attach and detach from physicality. So, but they need some kind of physical body to be able to, you know, be part of. Because I guess there's an issue. See, okay, when something 4D plus tries to cross into lower dimensional space, only a fraction of it could ever exist at any given time. Okay, so as it permeates through, it is larger than our dimension, so it would push through and you would see different cross sections of it at a time. That's ineffective if you're trying to bring a whole entirety into experience the reality, right? So it would be like you going onto a sheet of paper. It wouldn't be the experience that you would hope for, right? So I guess they have this ability to go and load up into and control a physical body to go do what they have to do to have the experience of that, and then for whatever their means is. I suppose, like, again, I mean, this is what I've heard from some of these people talking about the papers that have come out.
Well, it would make sense because gray aliens are always naked and have no dick, so they got to be envious of us. You know what I mean?
Right.
That right there would do it.
Right. They have like the necessary sensor arrays that they need to have that experience, and that's basically it. They don't need to reproduce because, like they're formed
Yeah.
at will. If it's by a higher dimensional being, they can just manifest that, right? Being, craft, whatever.
Can you imagine that? You'd be in a little gray alien body trying to manifest your dick. You're like, oh, come true, come on. It's not there. That'd be fucked up.
What happens if you give an alien a Viagra? It's like
His nipples will get hard. That's the only thing they can get there.
his forehead grows. Like, I mean, what happened?
His eyes get dilated in his head, man. Like he just got some shrooms.
His fingers start pulsing. Like, my fingers, they're so stiff.
He's glowing finger. It's all excited.
It ends up just raising their blood pressure so high that they explode. you know,
It's like giving them Mentos.
These humans are robust. you know what I mean?
It's like feeding Pinch's Mentos. We're out there giving the Grays, Viagra. Here you go.
Right. Well, I mean, could you imagine, like a gray alien, he gets tied up into this Earth shit. Next thing you know, he's fucking, railing fucking lines of coke and getting all wrecked. You know what I mean? He catches himself like a nasty Adderall addiction, or
Oh my God.
He'd be like, he's all tweaking out and stuff, like trying to fix a spacecraft at like fucking 3:30 in the morning, like, man, I know I'll fix it. Just like he goes and starts like stealing parts off of cars to fucking fix a spacecraft, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh my God.
he just ends up in like, some like swamp like shack in Florida, and like nobody even questions it, you know.
Dude, that would explain a lot of human behavior, to be honest with you, Joe.
I'm telling you, man.
They come here for the experience only.
Right? You get the fucking reptilian with a bad meth addict. He's like a bad meth addict. All of his little pointy teeth started falling out and shit. Welcome to Earth.
Yeah. Maybe that's our problem altogether, Joe. All the homeless people and everybody are aliens. You know what I mean? Like, we're normal people, so we know how to live in society. And all the ones that don't are aliens.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
pro tip, get some headphones. Yeah, I have a pair. I don't like wearing them.
Oh, man. Gray
I
aliens.
should get a microphone is what I should get, but nonetheless, sorry, digress.
Why can't they have the aliens that show up in the VW bus and cheerleader outfits? I mean, come on now. At least that would be fun for aliens. That'd be like, oh, alien disclosure. By the way, they're all hot cheerleaders coming out of this VW bus. You'd be like, well, I think aliens would be great for society.
I mean, straight up, man, according to the Bible, I think that we're the preferred species for that sort of thing. I don't think we're chasing them around looking for them. I think that we're the ones that they, got what they want, like we were well designed, you know.
Well, yeah, we still have our junk. The gray aliens don't. We're
Aaron,
designed.
the type of alien, the thick whites.
Thick whites.
Right. Right, them pog bitches.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious. That.
Oh. Oh my God, dude. You know, I'm telling you right now that if they do say that there's aliens out there, Joe, they better make everybody take the whole day off work, like a week off of work, because they'll be high as fuck.
Yo, what are we expecting? Okay, did you really just say if they do say? Because like, how you've been saying it? They've been saying it for years now. They've been like they've been done saying it, and everybody. This is what I think is hilarious about disclosure. People are like waiting for like the big aha moment. It's like, yo, they already had multiple things that were like official and on the record where people were like, yes, there are aliens. It is classified. We must talk about this behind closed doors. When was okay? If that wasn't the disclosure, like then you missed the boat because I hate to tell you, you're not getting any like whatever they show you now. Like you're gonna get a little more because they'll be like, okay, well, cat was out of the bag, whatever, show them whatever. But I mean, honestly, that was the disclosure that already happened. Like,
I guess nobody believed those guys. You know what I mean?
I hear you, but this isn't fucking Independence Day. Gerald, what was it? Like, the friggin' president of the United States or whatever isn't going to get up on television and be like, so aliens are real, or maybe Trump will. I mean, maybe because it's Trump, maybe he
with
will.
him, yeah.
I mean, they keep on saying that he has something planned, but I mean, I've yet to see it. So, but
we could get it, Joe. We could get a green alien woman with 3 tits standing right next to him, and that's his disclosure. That would be perfect, Trump, right? So beautiful, so made it. It was great.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm telling you, man. No, seriously, if they said it, like, who cares? Everybody watched Star Trek when they grew up, right? Like, you're used to seeing weird shit on people anyway, and the way they mutate their faces, we're not surprised.
Well, they probably created the liberal woman to prepare us all. You have all these fucking goblin looking, like they're obese, the hair flying up, tattoos of like that look like shit all over them with the meatball making arms and saggy tits and bad hair and bad attitudes and all this shit. And they're basically like, listen, if fucking human beings tolerate these bunch of assholes, and manage not to kill them, they're gonna love the aliens. You know what I mean? It's like probably the case. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, It's because it would be too easy, right? It'd be like, okay, well, now we can blame all this shit that we've been doing on them, because that's what's going to happen. Like we were
Mhm.
fucking around behind people's backs, putting lights in the skies for years, tripping people out. You know what I mean? Now we can blame it on them.
The aliens are gonna go back to their planet and be like, yo, the humans, they're a bunch of scapegoating, gaslighting sons of bitches. You know what I mean? Like anything they can blame on you, anything they can make you feel bad about, anything that they can sit there and point the finger, they're gonna do, even when it's super clearly their fault. Remember when they nuked us back in 45?
Oh shit!
Oh, oh, that's the word. That's the
Oh,
word. That's the best point you ever brought up, man. I think we totally nuked them in 45.
that's
That's what happened. They were blowing them off in the middle of in the middle of the ocean and stuff, like the hydrogen bombs and stuff. They probably had a whole bunch of like basically like a commercial commerce.
yeah.
They're all pissed off that they're not going to get their Tamagotchis or whatever the hell. You know what I mean?
Oh my god!
Just coming from space China or whatever, 5D China.
You watch the whole thing's run by China on the other side.
Yeah. Oh my God, yo, that's so funny. Could you imagine a Chinese gray alien be like,
Oh my god!
"Holy shit!"
Dude, aliens got to be like after white people. Their eyes are so fucking big, dude.
Holy
That's what
shit!
it is.
Oh, that's out of control, man. This whole thing's a joke. Yo, honestly, I don't believe a word the government says. Yo, a UFO could straight land on my lawn, and I'd be like, "Fuck CIA, goddamn secret project, asshole." Yo, spaceman straight up walk out. I'd be like, yo, they're making this stuff over at Plum Island on the genetic testing lab. You know what I mean? Like Center for Disease Control nonsense. Like, yo, get out of here with this government. You've been taking our money for so long, spending it all on all sorts of nefarious things. And now all of a sudden I'm supposed to believe it came from outer space or another dimension. Just get out of here. They'd be like, no, we did. They'd be like, sorry, don't believe you. Lied to me too much. Lie and steal to me my entire life, and then ask me to believe you. Yeah, okay, that's
Oh my god!
that's a good one.
Can you imagine if they had beaming technology, Joe? Like the nefarious shit we would do with that, right? Like, because people play the fart game now, right, where they walk by and let it out. But if you could beam a fart into somebody's face, dude, it'd be the fucking most hilarious thing in the world. You'd be playing that game all day.
Well, so that's okay. Interesting. Let's cut this. So the one thing that probably, in my opinion, does translate almost seamlessly, okay, from our dimension to an upper dimension is smell.
Really?
Yes.
So somebody shitty cooking in the apartment complex pisses off the aliens too?
Could well be. Could well be. And the reason for that, right? Same reason as plasma. Smell and plasma, very, very similar. Okay. It is molecular level resonance, high vibratory state. Okay. It's it's in a phase transition. So it's probably here and there and, permeating through. And that's probably also the reason why like smell also has such recognition in your mind. Like you will smell certain things that will immediately put you in certain frames of mind, certain memories, certain this and that, because it's such a direct connection to your consciousness,
Hmm.
which is, in my opinion, again, it's on a higher plane. So that really makes sense why. So yeah, I think smell is probably the most pure thing, along with sound and smell.
I feel bad for aliens if they're in the dimension in my room with me then, because they're getting fogged out every morning. You know what I mean? Like they have no chance.
Yeah. Well, what's John saying? Yeah, the condensed plasma is way different. I mean, I agree with that. Many, many little plasmoids condensing, making air more diffuse. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. It's about the breakdown of the state, right? I mean, the fact is that it's at such a small molecular level, and we know that things either raise in their energy level or reduce in their energy level as they travel away from the source. Right? Well, when they're that small, and you have a room that's at room temperature, we know that scent doesn't hang around, so it can't be destroyed. The scent, and if it's in, so there's this idea that by it's going into a state of diffusion, yes, but the fact that it goes away eventually, maybe it doesn't stay here. I don't
They
know.
can they
I'm just
can
using my logic, which isn't foolproof. That's for certain.
says they can phase past fart molecules.
Yeah, diffuse back into the ether. That's exactly where I'm going.
Huh.
And they right, and that's the thing about the ether is like it's everything quantum at that point. Light, non-manifest, while transient, right? So when it goes into that transient state, it's not pure anymore. It's there.
Oh my god, smell-o-vision, Joe. You imagine that?
Yeah,
Oh my god, dude, the smells they come up with now because everything's artificial now. Now you could really have a smell-o-vision TV. Like dude,
they
that
have
whole
they have movies
huh?
that they do that with. There's a certain, I think it's Regal Cinemas, if I'm not mistaken. They have like I forget what they call it exactly, but they have these interactive movies where they're like 3D. The seats move. They have wind, light effects, and smell effects, and water effects, and all sorts of crap for different movies.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's
Well, now
not really
that
expensive either. I think it's like $30 a ticket or something. I've never
dude,
done
that
it. I've heard about it though.
if they had that by me, I'd definitely experience that. That would be awesome. Smell-o-vision, okay? If you smelled the environment they were in, man, you'd be grossed out half the time. You'd be totally into that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool, man. That's worth trying out one time. They come out with all kinds of candles and all kinds of sprays that has all that stuff. Oh, absolutely. They do that. You ever see that, Joe, where they do that on TV? Some girl gets in the car and she has her parents in there. She starts putting off that fart spray before they, know what's going on. And all of a sudden they're smelling shit and they got it in their throat and their mouth. And they're all rolling down the windows trying to get rid of it. Like, what the fuck? How come you smell like shit?
Yeah, it's terrible. We used to play with those in I think in high school. When someone I knew got their hands on some rancid stuff, and they, they were making a issue because they had a lot of it. But it was like here, there, and I mean it was repulsive.
They didn't have that when I was in high school, man. You had to ferment stuff in the wall.
Oh, that's awful, man. That's really bad. Oh, like a
You know,
crime.
you ever sit in shop class and you know what I mean? You bust a hole in the wall and you start throwing your food in there. And then the next week, after you cover it up, somebody opens up it again and the whole room's blasted with the stench.
Yeah.
That old school days, man, a little bit different than the way they do now, I guess.
Oh, so off topic for a second, but I do have something good to report. By the way, I
Okay.
I had found those big crystals, right? Told you that. Well, I made the decision to you know because I used up I bought all these tools. By the way, thank you to everybody that donated to that GoFundMe. That helped me get out there this year. I know it took a long time, to put it all together, but yeah, I got into the tools that I needed. I got the 9 digs, right, that I had pre-purchased, and I was blowing through the digs though at this point. I was going once a week or whatever, and but I had made out really really well, and I made a deal with the owner of the mine, that I traded him one of my crystals for an unlimited membership.
Oh, nice.
So I was
There's a
able to
deal.
get that $1,000 membership, for one of my large crystals.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
because he kept on asking me to buy them for me, and I was like, Scott, you own the mine. I was like, go dig some out yourself, man.
Yeah.
You can have as many as you want. He's like, I'm crippled. He's a nice guy, man. I love Scott. But you get the point. He's got a business. He runs them. He gets good money for him. So, he was able to make that deal. And I was happy about that. I do owe him probably like another, you know, I said if I have a nice find that I'm willing to part with, I would square up with him on that. One more find. But, I'm good for a year now. As much as
Nice.
I go. Yeah.
Well, dude, that's awesome. Now
And
you
I
can go
still have
whenever
my
you
huge
want.
crystals, and now I could go and find a lot more huge crystals. So cool, right? The means seemed to justify the end of it, for
Yeah, well,
sure.
not that. Dude, I would have made that deal too.
Oh yeah, it was just hard to decide which one because I like them all, But yeah,
No, definitely worth it though. Definitely worth it.
oh yeah. But thank you to everybody that helped along with that. Much appreciated. Reach the goal one way or the other, and that's sometimes the way. When things are meant to be, that's how they fall into place. So. Get my ass out there, break my ass, find some more cool stuff. I'm starting to get a nice accumulation of what I will call test grade quartz, right?
Hmm.
So, get together with Nathan at some point when I have a bit more, and maybe we could run some kind of contest or something where if anybody wants to enter in, to win some test grade quartz, we could do it that way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Have to burn my face again on those chicken wings or something. Yeah, that was
Something, yeah,
traumatic.
some kind of contest, or whatever, something to keep everybody engaged, you know. If anybody was interested in like the high grade specimens or something, we could do like a raffle where you guys, you know, pay for a chance to win, sort of deal. But see if there's any interest for something like that. I really don't like selling the things I find. I get very attached to it. To be honest, probably why I'm poor.
Yeah, well, they all have that attachment thing. I like all the coils that I build, but they got to go out to people. People need
Yeah,
to be able to use them.
yeah, that's true. At the end of the day, it's just fortunate that all the coils are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
God,
The
you should
problem that I
see.
have is that none of them are the same. And I'm like, oh, and I like this one. Holy God.
You should see me on coil winding day, Joe. I'm a madman. I literally sit there with old lady glasses on, man, and it's hard because I got a bad back and you got to lean down. I try to make it ergonomic, but I can't. And because of the way the wire has to be seen all the way down, oh, it's a pain in the butt.
Mm.
But I sit there all day and do that and spray them and rotate them out, in and out, dude. Oh, it's like a whole series of stuff, man.
Yeah. Hey, check this out in the
Okay, hold on.
matrix. I can't get it out.
Let me go full screen for you. Oh, look at that. What's that?
It's such a cool shape. See how
Is
like
that? It's
it's
in
a
the
crystal.
rock.
Yeah, it's a crystal. It's in the small pocket. And it kind of overgrew this pocket, so it's just stuck.
Dude, I'd never take that out.
No, I tried at first, and then I was like, I'm gonna break it if I do. But look at how you can see it grew down all the way, and it still maintains its form all the way,
Yeah.
and it's got a little guy on the side right over there. Yeah, find some cool stuff, man. It's like a tablet shape. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like I said, I'd never cut that out of there, dude. That
No,
base
it's
of it's
gonna
just too
fit. Yeah,
far.
that's some pieces are just specimens like that. Like they gotta stay like that. But I mean, I got like a handful of these. I think I might show you guys these, but these are like, I don't know. I kind of like these better than the huge ones, to be honest. These things are like jewels, you know, like they're perfect. And
Nice.
there's like such interesting geometry and stuff.
Well, put a laser on each side of it, Joe, and see what happens. You know what I mean? If you can
Yeah.
align them, turn them while you do it, you gotta get yourself one of those little devices that hold it top and bottom, and you can maneuver everywhere.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get this. Because this one's super unique, because this one has two crystal habits that are going on in it at the same exact time. Right. So this side that you're looking at right now, it's pointed. Right. But then this side is a chisel side. Where's the pen? There it is. So see that how it's a chisel tip?
Oh yeah, there we go. Now we see
Yeah,
it.
so it's chisel tip on one side and pointed on the other.
Hmm.
Very cool stuff.
Well, you know, Joe, at some point you can always use those as what, the seed crystal?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's how these started out. Is they all formed off of micro quartz seed crystals, and the quality of the seed crystal was so good, and then fell out of whatever they formed in.
Hmm?
And then this is something that I didn't actually realize until recently, is that under that amount of pressure with that type of solution that has all that silica in it, right? When it fills up these cavities, the, the crystals themselves, in certain circumstances like this, right, they don't grow attached to anything. They are suspended in the fluid,
Hmm.
like in utero, like suspended in the fluid. That's why they come out so damn perfect. Or double terminated like that. That's why it's one of the only places on Earth that you could get double terminated quartz that clear like that, is because these pockets got super filled and then super pressurized, and the silica itself was in suspension in the fluid because the fluid is so viscous and dense at that point. It's not water where it
Hmm.
sinks. So it's super unique circumstance where literally you had a floating crystal in a liquid bath that was just forming with nothing touching it, and the only way that they get all choppy or uh, stuff like that is if they overgrow their space. So if they overgrow their space, they start knocking into a wall or something, then they could attach to the wall. Or if they start filling up the whole void, then they get wedged in. They start. So that's the only way it goes, man. It's crazy. Really cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Yeah, I love it, the fact that you got a long full year membership there, because you got some good stuff coming out of there now.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, summer gets hot. It's hotter than hell, to be doing that sort of thing. But if it's paid for, then I'm going. That's the thing, right? It was a lot. It was a big ask to sit there and shell out the kind of money, because it was like $100 a day to dig there. So to shell out $100 to go dig for the day and sweat your ass off, didn't seem like a winning proposition.
You paid them to go to work.
Didn't seem like a winning proposition, but since it's
Huh.
paid for, I mean, then it's no no thing. Like, I don't have to worry about, like, man, I just spend $100 to sit there and find nothing and sweat my ass off. Like, it's taken care of. So cool. Yeah.
Hmm. That's cool, man.
One more thing before we move on from this, because this is the most Earth object that I've like ever seen, and it's so cool, and I got it from there, right? But this is how Earth forms. Okay, this is Earth right here. Okay, you, you can see all the different crystallization and features of this, right? It's like the most
Mhm.
crustiest thing. It's like you have dolomite crystals, and you have calcite crystal, and you have anthraxite, and then you have like this right here, which is stromatolite. that's like, like an organic substrate, that forms, and then you have the quartz sitting there forming just like that. This is how it forms, man. It's just like all this soup of potential that starts like accumulating in mass and self-structuring and organizing. It's wild, when you see it like this. This thing is just like raw earth, very clean raw earth at this point because I cleaned the hell out of it. But you get the point. It was caked in mud and all sorts of nastiness, and it's wildly transparent. Believe it or not, like might not look like it, but if you shine light, this whole entire backside will light up.
Huh. Yeah, I wouldn't know that from looking at it right here.
Nope, but that's the way. It's all very, very clear.
That's cool, Joe.
Yeah, man. Like a little stand that it fits on. It's very cool. Out of rock.
Oh man. Yeah, I just got done. I let you know. I just kind of remodeling my garage, man. It's crazy, Joe. Trying to find some more space. I got 50 million things that left the counter and went into cabinets now. I now have counter space again. And sorry, and yeah, it might be a little OCD type of stuff. I have to have empty countertops. You know what I mean? If they're not, it drives me nuts. And everything I'm going into, I bump. Like I'm big and fat, so I hit everything when I come to the room, right? So everything falls on the floor. So it drives me absolutely insane. So it has to be stuck to a wall somewhere.
Hey, listen, dude. I'm glad you got it done because I don't know if you noticed or not, but like it's past the first week of May now, and you better get your ass in gear for Tesla Tech because it ain't waiting for you.
I know.
Yeah, you need a good, clean work environment, a fresh start, and a fresh head to be able to dive into that work, to be able to get it done. But there's
Well, what
definitely
is
going
it?
to be focus on getting that stuff done.
How many months is it till then?
I mean, it's in August, right?
I think so. So
I
what is
think
that?
so, right? So I mean, you have 3 months, basically, right?
Yeah, that's about where I thought I'd be. Wow.
I know. I didn't mean to stress you out, but as a good friend, I'm trying to keep you on track.
No, it means that now that it's cleaned up, I need to put that mirror into effect and really get it showing what I need to show.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Any
you're right.
word on the light speed in the array?
He messaged me last night and he said that all of it's starting to check out now. All of his code and everything, it looked good. So hopefully we could set up a shipping date here soon. And I'll be honest with you, Joe, that's going to steal the show at Tesla Tech right there.
I hope so, and I believe it will.
That just seeing everything out there and how everything works, and then you know what I mean, the instrumentation working and stuff like that. So it's like bringing receipts with you for everything that you're saying. That's going to steal the show.
Yeah,
So
I agree. It really should, and I know that that's going to be the number one thing that people love to harp on because you could get up there and say and show whatever you want, but until you give like the actual data, they're like, yeah, this don't do that. This is not empirical evidence.
oh, I know. I understand, Joe. Things that I see in the lab, most people wouldn't, and they never know how to qualify them in their real life, ever.
Yeah.
So that's all right, bro. But dude, yeah, that sensor array is going to be awesome, bro. The first thing I need to do is get it in here, get it running, replicate it while I'm doing stuff, right? Get the list, start reordering all parts because I know I'm going to break everything. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that like you get a sensor overload, you know what I mean? And then a part goes down. So you have to have some on hand to replace them as you do because these things get wild. Like I told you, it shuts down my room sometimes. So there's Sean's stuff that's contained, and then there's my stuff that's totally never contained, like not in the way it should be ever. Like
No.
even if it's a RAV, it's not the same thing.
I mean, I really hope that you're able to get a good solid rad set of rad experiments together for it too, because it's like we keep on saying, until you actually build one of these things yourself, you see it in person. There's just no experience like that to really grasp. If you're a naysayer on the subject and you're like, nah, I mean, it's nothing special. Like they're kind of saying or showing. If you saw it in person, you just entirely feel differently. You know right away what you're looking at, and
Well,
the things
okay.
don't do that. So
So how I did the pulse motor, I put it on that board. That's what I'm doing with everything now. So when I take my bipolar peanut Tesla coil, you know what I mean, or the Utron one, and I'm making rabs out of them, then they'll all be on individual boards put together. So all I have to do is go over and flip the switch on them. You know what I mean?
right,
So there's no setup time that's needed. It's already done, ready to go. Pull it right off the shelf. That's what I'm trying to get to in all these experiments. So then, the pulse motor, you go in and take out the core, you put in a different type of core, you check it, you test it. All the information's already there because everything's already built. I don't have to go searching for 50 million things. You know what I mean? Wraps, put it together. It's all there. All the, power source like Sean has, all on the board ready to go. All I have to do is, put the little cathode on and measure it. And we're able to get some experiments out faster that way.
yeah.
Because what happens is I start losing parts and then they're all over the place. And then, you know what I mean? It gets moved from one place. It's so much easier. Put it on a board, pull it right off the shelf, run the experiments that I need to run, get the numbers I need to get. That's kind of been how I've been looking at it and building the stuff like I did the pulse motor and stuff like that. I've been building out my coils like that. Even if it's just a standard coil, that way there's no messing around, right? I have
Well,
my
right. I mean, whatever you're configuring, for convenience and practicality purposes, it's got to all be set up and plug and play. Like,
yeah, that's
you
what I mean.
realistically, you need to have this configuration, that configuration, et cetera, down the line. And then realistically, the only thing that you need to do to move from one to the next is change the leads on the power supply and then move on. Like, that's, in my opinion, the way that would work efficiently. And,
Yeah, it
and
is.
that way too, everything is fixed somewhat to a certain degree, so you could have the accuracy of the test that you did. So when you're saying what the results were, and then you're showing whatever it is, I mean,
Hmm.
it's the same. It's the same experiment. It's not a representation of the same experiment. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, you get it. That makes all the testing a lot easier because then you get measurements of everything and you're accurate all the time. So,
Yoni's late to the conversation. How are the videos? The from the release. I mean, they're not bad, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's more of the same, and it's more of the same.
oh, okay, let's get very clear on this. We didn't learn anything different. There's only one that looked different, and it was that star looking one. And that was the only different one that I saw. All the rest of them are exactly the same as the rest of them we saw. We didn't learn anything. They didn't come out with any aliens. There was no little green men next to their president. We didn't get anything good. And I'll just say this for everybody who's excited about this kind of stuff. Anytime you go in front of Congress, anytime all these people like Greer come out and they say, "Oh, we have everything," and you get the same thing every time. You get a story, and that's it. Okay, so it gets old once you see past the little smoke and mirrors as they do. It gets really old really fast. I don't even bother to watch it half the time because it's a joke. There's there's nothing to see here. And if they have aliens, they're classified. You'd never be able to get them anyway. You're not even making that big of a stink about it right now. People aren't. It's just a couple of people on the internet asking and being annoying. The government's dealt with that for years. They don't care. There's nothing that they want to disclose here. So, sorry. I don't believe in it at all. The only way you're going to see it is if you have a dimensional break that goes on our planet and we find something that we're not supposed to find, or they invade us. You know what I mean? And that's the only way it's going to come out.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree to a certain degree. I guess, the disclosure that's already happened is probably, been as good as it's going to be. The best you might get is if they decide to make some kind of official declaration of like, but even that official declaration, like if Trump was to get up there, for instance, and make a speech on it, what do you expect to hear out of that? You know, yeah, I would say that it's probably just going to be confirmation of the stuff that's already sort of been discussed. That's probably what you're going to get. So it's going to take it from some sort of speculative, standpoint as to what's already sort of been said, and then they'll put an official stamp on it as an announcement, and that's it. Like I think that's the best case scenario anybody should expect out of it.
Yeah.
But the geometry of that star one was pretty cool, by the way, though, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
it was though. Yeah.
yeah, uh-huh.
That
It
that
was
one was good.
multifaceted. It was like skeletal, right? So
Mhm.
that it's got all sorts of interesting sort of electromagnetic effect to it, as far as energy vectoring is concerned. Because yeah, I looked at that thing and I was like, oh, that's pretty neat, actually. But
Yeah.
yeah,
All it confirms, by the way, Joe, is that we have it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's not, does ET have it? Does the United States own the ability to do it? Yes, they do. Just understand that up front. That's the disclosure. They do. They have it. They've had it for a long time. It's all on the same lines of understanding how this energy works. And once you break through to it, you have it. That's all there is to it.
yeah.
There's no big disclosure after that.
Wouldn't it be funny if the hugest psyop of them all was the fact that they're just like beaming misinformation into mine and your brains and everybody else that's coming across all these ideas almost synchronistically, and they're just beaming it into us so we regurgitate it, and it's like, oh, look, see, we got the puppets to dance, you
I
know
feel like it's
like,
that way.
frankly, I've had that contemplation before, you know
Oh yeah.
and
I don't know
uh,
how else are these people getting so many views on YouTube. I mean, it's all the same old crap, and you never get a payoff. It's the worst. There's no payoff ever, ever. I've never had a payoff on any one of these things. You get all excited, get you all built up, and then what? Nothing, right? Big nothing burger every time, and it's just so frustrating.
yep.
I guarantee you. Watch, I'll put money on it right now, man. That they won't come up with anything new. I mean, it's just not going to happen. It's going to be the same old crap.
I mean, listen, they already marched frigging alien mummies in front of Congress. Okay, I'm just saying. Like, they already were like, look, aliens, they have 4 fingers. Take an X-ray. There's bones inside. Like, you know what I mean? Like, take a DNA sample. There's DNA. It's not human. Okay. It's like, what more does anybody want than this? Like, I mean, even if it was absolutely positively fake, a fraud, total nonsense, that was as good as you were ever going to get.
Yeah.
Like they marched friggin' shriveled up fucking aliens on the television. Okay, like what are people expecting? Like, they're not going to show you the real damn thing. Like, I don't think. And if they do, it's because they want to control you somehow. Probably. Just saying. If you start seeing real aliens kicking around, know that there's some kind of motive occurring. Just saying. If they didn't come here yet to that extent of exposing themselves, they ain't about to.
Yeah.
Especially not to America. They'd be like, man, those guys, they got guns. They're scary. They're the nuke people. They have lots of nukes.
Well, they sure wouldn't start taking out scientists and then disclose it. I mean, think about that. You got these scientists missing, right? If there's anything to that story, then there's no disclosure happening. They don't just come out and say, "Oh, we're just hiding these people until disclosure came out." Bullshit. You know what I mean? That's not the way it works. They're still hiding stuff, which means you get no disclosure.
Yep, I agree.
Now, on the other hand, it would be totally awesome to see little gray men next to the president. Okay, that I mean, be worth it in my lifetime to see it. So we all would hope for that. I don't have much hope for it. That's like that's my shot in the dark betting one, where you bet on something and then you show up the shot in the dark out there. You know what I mean? You throw 100 on it somewhere, see if it takes. Yeah.
Just think, comedians gonna have a field day. It'd be like, the little dickless alien people, like little dickless midgets. We've come to take over your planet. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
oh boy, oh boy.
yeah.
I
I'll say this.
legitimately, I legitimately have a cow and a donkey. They sound like they're up to no good going on in the background. They're not mine. I do not have a cow or a donkey.
And it's going off in the background.
Yeah, one's mooing and the other one's eawing, and the way that it sounded simultaneously going on just sounded like something violating was occurring, and I don't know who was doing what, but things were happening.
Oh my God. Oh, that poor cow.
I think it was the poor donkey giving the eaws. You're like, you never tell if it's good or bad with them. I heard they're mean though. Like I haven't interacted with too many donkeys in my life, but
Oh my God.
I've heard that they're stubborn, right? That I know, and they like to bite and kick. Yeah, they like to bite.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sounds like women.
Yeah.
Oh man, that Amy, by the way, one of the missing scientists, what she was actually into was everything that we talk about, Joe.
Oh well, that's great. She's missing bismuth disc,
Oh, she ain't missing.
high
She's
magnetic field, huh? Yeah.
yeah. Well, bismuth is the future of it. That's for sure. I'm just trying to get out of it what I can. Dude. I'd looked for a bismuth disc, by the way, for a long time now. They don't have them like where you could just go buy them like
Yeah,
that.
make that. You know how easy that is to make.
What? Well, you gotta pour it and then make sure you don't have any holes in it. You know what I mean? It can't be a bad pour. I don't have any way to make it denser, like you know what I mean? I guess it could be whatever, but then my gravity flyer looks like shit is enough.
You're a creative dude, man. Like, I mean, first of all, you have a 3D printer, and if you use, like higher temperature filaments and stuff like that, you could create a mold where bismuth is, you could mold it right into plastic for Christ's sake. Like it's below the melting point of the plastic.
Well, no, I just go out and get aluminum and then mill it out. You know what I mean? To the right shape and then pour it because the
Sure.
aluminum won't melt.
Yeah, you can do that.
And then cap it, make it a anyway. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it, I
Yeah,
guess.
I was gonna say, man, there is a lot of ways, and it's not like this is stuff you can melt on the stove, man. You don't need a crucible and a frigging, a blast furnace or like, an induction furnace or something. Like you just need to friggin' melt the shit and run an old pot on your stove, man.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. Hmm.
I
You
actually
know,
did something with HDPE the other day where I like chunked up a bunch of pieces of HDPE and just melted it in the toaster and pressed it between two, like I had like a Teflon baking, spring pan.
mhm.
I took two spring pan things, squished them together with a vise with the HDPE in the middle, and the thing's solid as hell. You know what I mean? Like it's not that hard.
Yeah,
I
you're
would
probably
say
right.
liquid metal would be less, complicated than chunks of melted plastic.
Yeah. All right, I got to think about that then, Joe. How do I want to do it? It's the most efficient way to get what I want. Because nano coating wouldn't be hard. I mean, at the low melting temp, some of these metals almost can be shut off in a 3D printer. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If it was the right diameter, it would be fairly easy. So,
I wonder.
Interesting.
I bet you. I bet you could make bismuth filament. It'd probably be really brittle. You know what I mean? But like, I bet you could do it. You just get it to the right diameter and stuff. I mean, those nozzles get hot enough to print it. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I actually, this may sound strange to a lot of people, but we have those round Tesla coils, and I would like to put the bismuth at the center of it and just attach both ends of that Tesla coil back into the bismuth in the center and then start it off with a number one on the outside of it, make it look like Saturn. And that's how I want to try the first one because I think once you put that energy on it, it's going to right back out in that field. And I bet you if I stuff water in there, you know what I mean, and make it watertight, I bet you the effect would be even better. So, and then also the energy going into the water may be better going into the center because it's compressing into the center and it acts like the one wire energy in water. So we may get all the effects that we want all in one right away. And that would be the difference of simply making the ends where you could screw in a cap on both sides. That's about, I think, is as simple as it gets. And then you put water in there, can't get away. Steam creates pressure. You know what I mean? It forces everything in there to align properly. You get the energy into the bismuth. The bismuth does its thing and it pushes the energy out. If it melts, it would go into little balls of bismuth. It wouldn't probably stay together because the energy in between them would separate them if you get enough pressure in there based on the water, right? So I don't know. It's an interesting thing, but that's the way I always seen that core done, not on a plate.
Yeah.
Because then you could put an outer field on the whole thing, man, and you'd have the gyro in the center. But that's just me. Because Joe doesn't like the gravity flyer, so we wouldn't build it anything like it. We would have to build it different. And I think at this point he'll take anything.
I mean, listen. I've come up with countless good ideas for both you and Sean to test out. That's just beyond my means of ability to do in my given situation. And neither one of you have ever done any of them, so I'm just like, okay. So I mean, do as you may. Yeah, I'm just still waiting for a simple, pickup coil around the friggin' glass tube for the wrap to be built up in a traditional fashion. I'm still waiting. You know.
Oh no! I've been thinking about that one too, Joe.
Yeah.
Mutual inductance. Okay? You said once that tell you what magnetic flux is, right?
Mhm.
So you know what the meg is? Basically, you have two pieces that come off like this that are you can pull on and off. You have this thing that goes on top and bottom, and you have magnets in between, right? And you have these two coils that go right here. Basically, you excite this coil, and the magnetic flux is not in this zone of the coil right here. It is only in this zone of the coil, right? Then you hit this one, and then it goes in this zone of the coil without being in this zone of the coil. So you're just doing work back and forth, creating the flux to go back and forth between them doing work, right?
Mhm.
That's all it is. But then think about it in the way of mutual inductance, where you take a coil and you bifilar that sucker into a regular coil, and then you take the energy of your Tesla coil, run it through there, right? Which would have a very low magnetic value, right? Just about nothing. But now you take a very little thing, but it has a high magnetic value and put it into it in the other part of the bifilar in one button push, right? What happens is the Tesla coil one, the frequency immediately comes down. It gains the magnetic just from the mutual inductance of the other one, right? So it's already built a magnetic field. It's already combined together and it comes out and you have two energy types going into one energy type, right? Two weak fields to make one strong field that comes out. That's how you make a magnetic spike. Instead of the voltage spike of Bedini, you get the magnetic spike of Eben Gray.
Right.
That's unbelievable how that
Right. Well,
works.
right. I mean, that's a modulated flux is what it is at that point, because it's virtually doing the movement and the shift. But
Hmm.
that's sort of the point. That's always been the point. You know, it's
Well, yeah,
that
but
you don't need moving parts. The moving
but
parts is the lost. So that's where, you know,
think of it as a couple of coils now, but now you use the meg idea, right? And you're taking that magnetic flux and going boom, 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 right? You you very cheaply do not have to put in the magnetic field. You just have to move the flux. The magnet's already put it in there. Now all you got to do is provide the other field. That's the important part.
yeah. Yanni's playing the game that I love to play, which is the word game of how, you know, everything comes from somewhere and people know a lot more than they can tend to describe. You know, he's saying, you know, the soul in solenoid, right? Yeah. What's a solenoid? What does it do? Well, it picks up the energy from right. The soul part is the sun. You know, it's the energy.
Hmm.
And like the roots of all these words and how we use English is why I say English is the ever evolving perfect language, in my opinion. And because we take off of all the ancient roots, you know, and then build on it to establish the meanings. And, you know, it becomes very, very esoteric once you realize the etymology of, uh, you know, the origin of all of these sort of words. You know, they all come
Hmm.
from some deeper understanding that someone had along the way, and it's gotten lost in time. You know,
Yeah.
very, very, very interesting. It helps you connect dots too. Whenever you see similarities in words, you know, look back and you'll see that there's a deeper connection that isn't at the surface level. So
Hmm.
yeah, I like that. Totally cool that you picked up on there.
Yeah. I just want to shout out Lan right there. I have Charlie's information, all of it. I did videos on my channel as far as what the gravity flyer has in it, the exact measurements of everything, his whole drive. Matter of fact, I just sent him a link for the scale that I used. So yeah, I've been in contact with Charlie for a long time for that. So I do have it all. Thank you though. So sorry about that, Joe. Trying to.
Well, no, good. It's a good point. Yeah, I mean, you worked with him a long time ago, didn't you? Like pretty closely when you were first starting out on this stuff.
By the time I get it running, I'll be going back over there and talking to him again. He's only wanted to get it running forever, and he's done everything he could. I just want to make sure everything's where he could just basically put in a microchip or something, not even a micro SD card. You know what I mean? And it pretty much sets the thing for him. And
Mhm.
that's where I want to get it to, because otherwise it's going to be a pain, and it's like pulling teeth. Because I speak in a different language than everybody else, and they don't really understand it.
Yeah,
So
I get it.
yeah, nice. All right, Joe. It's been about 2 hours, man. I'm about ready to get out of here, man. I've had a rough week.
Yeah, man, I've had an exhausting week myself, so I'm believe it or not on board with you because you know me. Usually I prolong and drag everything out, but totally good with where we're at. You know, moral of the story is, folks, don't trust the government.
No, ever.
Don't trust the government.
Especially when they say they have the answer or they can help. Yeah, that's when you really got to run.
Here, we'll let you know the truth. Now, so if we've been lying to you for 75 years.
Yeah, not going to happen. All right, guys, I'll be on Traveling Fools later tonight. We're talking about the same thing on there, aliens and disclosure, and if they actually did it, and see what everybody else came up with. But yeah, this should be a pretty fun show. And then Mike over at Faraday Research will be on here in just a little bit. So, and I want to say thank you to Darren out there, man. 5 Old Men Builds memberships, dude. Appreciate it. Right on. It's gonna be kind of cool, man. So, with that said, man, everybody have yourself a great night. Thank you.
Right on. Peace and love.
The old man real. The old man real. The old old man builds, the old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.